Hello, Spiritual Seeker. I'm Deepa, and I'm the Creative Mystic. And I ring this bell to just center you and awaken you to the knowingness that the Divine Presence is within you, and because it is. So today, or I should say the other day, I was divinely guided by Mother Mary to start sharing some of my spiritual rituals, some of my spiritual tips about what I do in my spiritual practice, what I call my sadhana. Sadhana is a Sanskrit word. If you're into yoga, you know what that word means. It's basically spiritual practice, is what it means. And so every morning, every evening, I get up, do a spiritual practice. And the reason Mother Mary wanted me to start sharing this with you is because Archangel Gabriel gave the message in my last episode about success, like what you need to do to have success in every area of your life, whether it's you want your own business or you want more success in your business, or you want to have a happier relationship or more joy in your life, or maybe you want spiritual growth, especially as a spiritual seeker. I don't know about you, but for me, that's been one of my main focuses is how can I grow? Grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, and because what I have found is you can't separate them. If you want to grow spiritually, you have to grow emotionally, mentally, because it's all one. You can't separate them. And so how do you actually start to do that? And so Archangel Gabriel was talking about deciding, the importance of making a decision, and then directing all your energy into that decision, and so how do you do that? And so Archangel Gabriel just talked about doing it, not so much necessarily all of the how, but Divine Mother came to me because the how, one of the hows of how you do this is starting your day with the right intention, with the right energy, with divine presence, because the source of all your power really is whatever you call your higher power. Whether that's God, Buddha, Allah, the universe, doesn't matter the name. It matters that you acknowledge that the divine presence is here, the source of all your power, but not like the source of your power like you have nothing, okay? But that you are this divine being. You have this divine presence within you. You are this divine being. You're this spiritual being having a human experience. And so you want to start to affirm that. And that's, when you start your day of having a spiritual practice, that's what you're doing. You're confirming, confirming your powerful self as a spiritual being, and that divine presence, that connection that is within you, that's in you, outside you, all around you, it's here. And so I know for me, I started just like everybody else starts on the spiritual practice just about, is you find something that resonates with you. I found Buddhism, and I started doing it. But it was very haphazardly. I got up and sometimes I would chant and sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I'd do it for a week or so, and then I wouldn't do it for a few days, and then I'd start again, and it felt like I was starting, stopping, and it was just at that time felt like the best I could do. And I just did that until I met this Buddhist leader who gave me a challenge and a promise. And that's what the thing, that promise is what made me go, I'm doing this. And she said to me, because she asked how my practice was doing, and I said, I do it some days and some days I don't. I'll be consistent for a week or two and then I fall off again. And she said, well, I promise you, if you are consistent, and she gave me the challenge of being consistent for a year. If you're consistent for a year, she goes, I promise you, your life will be transformed into something better. And I was like, you promised me that? She goes, yes. She goes, I can't tell you how it will be transformed because everybody has a different karma. Everybody, desires a different thing in their life. And so I can't tell you what's going to manifest. But I can tell you that it will be transformed to something better, to something that's, makes you happier, you'll have more success. And I was like, I want to see if what she says is true. So I took up that challenge, and I said, I'm going to do this every single day, no matter what. And so I had to get some support to do that, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But right now, what I want you to do is, the reason why I'm here is because Archangel Gabriel talked about the importance of decision. And I had to decide. I had to make that decision. Okay, I'm going to do this every day for a year because I want to see my life transformed. I want to see if what she says is true. She's promised it to me, so I'm going to go on her word that this is going to happen. And I did it for a year consistently, and my whole life was transformed. At the time that I met that leader, I was not happy. I was financially unemployed. There were just a lot of, I was in a bad relationship, unemployed. I was wanting to buy a house, but had no means to buy it at that point because I was unemployed. And by the time that year had transformed, I was in a job that I was now making more than, twice the amount I had made when I was in a job getting paid. I was in a happy relationship. I just, I was saving money that I was going to be buying a house soon. And just, everything had been transformed. And when I look back at that year, I was like, wow, she was right. The promise was met. From then on, never missed a day, because I knew the thing I learned from that 1 year of that commitment was that I always felt better after my spiritual practice. Okay? I had days where I'm like, I didn't really want to go do it, but I did anyway because of my commitment, my decision to keep that commitment. But it truly transformed my life. And so I'm going to give you that challenge today because I know that Archangel Gabriel has talked about you directing your energy towards what you've decided on, whatever that decision is, and that my morning spiritual practice, my spiritual practices, has what enabled me to learn how to direct my energy towards what I desire. Because it's easy to say, right? And some people don't even know that. They just let their energy get pulled by everybody else, or the happenings in the world. And what you learn when you start to do a consistent practice is how to direct your energy towards what you truly desire. Now, as a spiritual seeker, your first desire is probably to experience the divine presence in some way, to grow spiritually, to grow and, have more feelings of peace, of joy, of love, okay? But what really shows the proof is, yes, when you feel that way, but also when you see your life transformed, it is something that is fulfilling to you, that is meaningful to you. If you have tuned in, I'm really into everyone stepping into their holy calling, that purpose that is they came on the planet for, and that is going to help, serve not only themselves, yourself, but also the world. And so I'm going to make that challenge to you, the challenge of, are you willing to commit to doing a consistent spiritual practice? And if you already are doing one, maybe you're willing to commit to up your game in the sense of not more time, but more depth, because that's the key, is how, after you've been on the path a long time, is how do you keep that inspiration, that passion that you had when you started? How do you keep that beginner's mind? And that's one of the things about why your spiritual practice, doing a morning one, is so important. There's a Buddhist saying that I have always loved: every day is a new beginning. What matters most is what you do today. And so when you start your day with a spiritual practice, you're starting your day with the right intention. And in that spiritual practice, you want to be doing a prayer, making that prayer intention, that prayer demand, that I am this powerful being, powerful beyond measure, and that I'm awake in my connection to the divine presence, that I'm feeling the divine presence, and I'm bringing this into my day, this energy of peace and joy and love. Okay? So, are you willing to make that commitment? Hopefully you're saying yes. Now, when I say this commitment, you have to accept yourself where you are. I do it every day, and some days it's a very short sadhana because I don't plan my time right. I get up later because of some reason. And so you have to work with that. I'm not saying every day, at this point, do it at the exact same time and the same amount of time. I'm saying just the decision to do it, okay? And that day, like for me, because I've gone from living in an ashram, a spiritual community, to not. And in the ashram, I would do sadhana sometimes for 2.5, 3 hours. Not living in it, being in the world, that's more challenging to do. And so my sadhana now is more like an hour, sometimes longer, sometimes 2, but more like an hour. Days where I don't plan my time well, half an hour, even 20 minutes sometimes, I shorten what I need to do. So my challenge to you is, I'm not asking you to commit to a long time, because mine didn't start off that way. It started off with very short. It was like, I think I started off with 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Now I'm asking you to just commit to 10 minutes, okay? But on the days that you don't plan your time well, and you have to get going, because if you have a job, you have to be at a certain time. We have our own business, so there's more flexibility unless I have an appointment, But if you have a job and you got to get there at a certain time and you overslept or something, commit, and you can do at least a minute. You can stop for a minute, 30 seconds, light that candle, because I talked about the power of lighting a candle with intention, of yourself being that powerful being and powerful beyond measure, and you're going to carry that energy into your day. You light a candle, do a prayer, intentionally connect with divine presence, even if it's only for 30 seconds or a minute. And then you take that energy into your day, because then you've still done it every day, and it keeps that energy. So the reason why, this is so important is this is going to raise your level of awareness. This is going to raise and deepen your connection with divine presence, whatever higher you call your higher power. And so, I'm asking you to make this commitment. And one of the things that I really want you to get is, it's not necessarily always how long, but the intention and centeredness when you do that prayer. So it's more of how deep, how focused you are, if you can do that. And as I do this, I'm going to be doing this spiritual sharing of my spiritual practices pretty much every month. That's what Divine Mother wants me to do. So I'm going to be giving you little tips of what you can do. The first one, obviously, is make that commitment, decide. And I also recommend, if you can, decide on a place you're going to do it if you can. I have an altar, as you can see behind me, and I do my sadhana pretty much here every day, unless I'm traveling. Something happens where I can't do it here, but I do it every day, okay? So, because spiritual vibration builds up there. So if you meditate or you chant, or you're just going to do even a prayer, that energy starts to create a little spiritual vortex in that spot when you do it. And so if you can pick a spot, it can be the same chair if you live in a small space and you don't have room for an altar. You can also have a little traveling altar where you have little things if you can put out. So if you don't have your own space, you can put it out on a little table when you do your practice, whether it's a picture. You can see here I have a picture of Archangel Michael. That's an actual sacred spirit guide portal that I saw a vision. But you can have something that's meaningful to you that you can put up, and have that picture that you take out, because the picture, the visual, helps remind us that, oh yes, the divine presence is here. And so I recommend that you start this. It's a practice, but also a ritual. And that's why I say spiritual rituals in your spiritual practice, because when you start to do something and invoke the power of divine presence, and you do it consistently and regularly with this intentional prayer, it becomes a ritual, something that helps empower you, because that's the power of ritual, about empowering yourself. All right? So I'd love to hear any comments, questions, shares of your spiritual experiences and your practices. Because remember, greatness is within you, and it's time to let it out. And the beginning of you making this consistent practice will begin to awaken your greatness and let it out. All right? Now, if you're feeling like you'd like to get your own Archangel Michael, feel free to go to my website, deepaloo.com. And if you're ready to get support in your spiritual growth and learning how to utilize the spiritual laws that are always operating in your life, feel free to sign up for my complimentary gift of a next step connection call. All right? Blessings. Have a miraculous day.